Hey everyone, this is Marty Becker, owner and founder of Atlas Financial Strategies, and I'm coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. I wanted to take a few minutes today to address a question that I get on a semi-regular basis, which is, I have a pension, do I need an annuity? This question is becoming more and more rare, mainly because most people do not have defined benefit pensions anymore. In fact, those of you watching this and know my story know that I ended up in this business trying to find a solution to my own defined benefit pension being changed. And after 7 years of research, I ended up coming across the insurance industry and found that they offer products that no one else offers, and they closely mimic defined benefit pensions. But some people still have guaranteed pensions, like police officers, teachers, firefighters, military, federal and local government employees, and some corporate executives still have pensions. So I wanted to address this topic for those of you who do have defined benefit pensions. But again, it's a rarity that I get this question, mainly because the defined benefit pensions started to disappear around the early 1980s, which just happens to be the same time when 401ks were being implemented. What companies figured out is they could get themselves off the hook for providing a lifetime income to their employees and their spouses by selling them on the idea of tax-deferred contributions and investing in the stock market. Did you ever wonder why the market in the 1980s was so hot? Well, it's because there was tons of money being dumped into it via defined contribution plans, i.e. 401ks. So Wall Street got rich and average Americans got tossed into a world of gambling that they did not understand, and at the same time had no guarantees that they would ever have enough money to last them through retirement. That's a story for another day. So let's focus on those who still have a guaranteed pension plan. I can assure you that you are extremely fortunate if you have one of these. The guaranteed income, the security, and peace of mind that is provided from a solid pension plan cannot be replaced by anything except an annuity with an income rider. But if you already have the guaranteed income, do you really need an annuity? Of course, every scenario is going to be different, so I'll give you a couple examples today. I spoke with a gentleman a couple weeks ago, very nice man that I enjoyed speaking with. He works for a local utility company and has a defined benefit pension, plus Social Security, plus an above average amount of investable assets. Now, after doing the math on what the lump sum would be versus his guaranteed income, he was going to receive an 11% payout rate on that money. His question for me was, should I take the lump sum and purchase an income annuity? My answer, don't you dare. And if anyone tries to convince you to take the lump sum, you run the other direction. There is nowhere this gentleman could take that money and get 11% payout rate. Not with an annuity, and certainly not with a money manager. Now, could he get an 11% rate of return on that money with an annuity or managed money? Sure, maybe, depending on what the markets are doing at any given time. But could he withdraw 11% of that money for income? Absolutely not. Remember the 4% rule? That's the max you can withdraw from your portfolio during retirement. And most economists are saying that's too high of a withdrawal rate if you want the money to last 30 years or more. So what about an annuity with an income rider? A man his age who is single would be able to get about a 5.7% payout rate with a fixed indexed annuity that has an income rider. And a SPIA would probably be a little bit higher. But the annuity obviously would be a much better option than managed money, but it's still nowhere close to 11%. And that's one of the greatest things I see with the defined benefit pensions that I look at for my clients. The payout rates are so high that nothing can really match them. So in this gentleman's particular case, does he need an annuity? Well, he wouldn't need an annuity for income, but it would still be a good idea to allocate a portion of his assets into a straight fixed index annuity for growth, protection, and do it all with no fees. So yes, he has a pension, and I believe an annuity would still be a good choice, but the right type of annuity. Now, is there ever a case where I would recommend someone give up their defined benefit pension for an income annuity? I mean, it would have to be pretty extreme, but the first scenario that pops into my head would be if the pension system itself is in trouble of insolvency. For instance, there is a giant pension system that has been in the news quite a bit over the past few years because it is supposed to be insolvent by 2025. And their members may see their income slashed by 50%. Now, that would be a good reason to jump ship, but other than that, I cannot really think of a reason to surrender your defined benefit pension. However, just like the gentleman in the above example who could use a straight fixed index annuity for growth and protection, could there be another scenario where someone with a defined benefit pension would use an annuity? Absolutely. And it comes down to one word: survivorship. Most pensions, if not all, come with several options on how they're distributed. If you have a pension and are married, you would definitely want to take the survivorship option to make sure your spouse is protected after your passing. Now, what happens, however, is the higher the survivorship percentage you take, the lower your income. So there is a reverse correlation. The question then becomes, for those of you with defined benefit pensions, could we use an annuity to get the max amount of income from your pension and then have the annuity in position to replace the pension income after the pension holder passes away? So let's take a look at a case study that I put together here. We have a married couple, 65-year-old male and a 63-year-old female. Husband has a guaranteed income from his pension plus Social Security plus $500,000 in IRAs. The wife has Social Security and $200,000 in a Roth. Let me jump out of this real quick. So here are the options for the husband's pension. He can have a single life, meaning the wife gets nothing when he dies, and that option pays the most. He could do 100% survivorship, meaning the wife continues to get the exact same, but that option pays the least. And then there's 75% and a 50% survivorship, and those pay more up front when both of them are alive. Now, if they have an income goal of $70,000, the more upfront benefit from the pension also leaves the biggest income gap when the husband passes away. So when the husband passes away, who is the pension holder, the wife will lose her Social Security and pick up the husband's. And depending on what option they choose for the pension will determine how much of an income gap will exist for the wife to get back to that $70,000. Now, I probably wouldn't choose the life only because if the husband has an untimely death, all of that benefit is gone completely. But what if we took the next closest option, which would be the 50% survivorship, and only leaves a difference of $3,000 or about $250 a month in the pension income while both of them are alive. Now, I did not include inflation adjustments or COLAs on Social Security or the pension because I wanted to keep this very simple and straightforward. And I kept the income goal at the original $70,000. Now, I know some people will want to argue that she won't need that much because now there's only one person and her expenses won't be as much, which may be true. But do you think things are going to be more expensive or less expensive 20 years from now? So I wouldn't want to take a giant pay cut, and I don't want my clients to take one either. So now with the 50% survivorship here, that will leave a $32,500 a year income gap. Now, the funny thing is, when I was putting this together, I randomly took $200,000 from the portfolio to start the calculations. And I randomly used the age 83 for the husband's passing, and it kind of worked out perfectly. So what we're looking at in this Excel sheet is the income goal, the different options for the pension payout, and what it would look like if we took the 50% survivorship option in the pension and used the $200,000 Roth in an annuity that has a free income rider and an automatic inflation adjustment when the market performs well. Now, I used a very modest 3.5% growth rate, which is several hundred basis points below what this index has actually performed at. And I used the growth rate of the S&P 500 starting in 2000 to the present day. Now, I used that time frame to simulate what a portfolio would look like in a worst case scenario. When you work with Atlas and when you work with me, I'm always going to give you the worst case scenario, because when you plan for the worst and hope for the best, you'll never be disappointed with the results. So let's just take a look at. Okay, so here we are in the first year of retirement, and all is well, okay? We have the $70,000 in income that they want, and here is the $700,000 in assets appearing in all the different options they had for the pension, and then with the Atlas annuity strategy. We're equal in all these categories, 700,000 and 70,000 income. But remember what happened at the end of 2000? The dot bombs happened and all the tech stocks crashed, sending the market into chaos. Then we had 9/11, and the drop continued for 3 years straight. And this is why we look at worst case scenarios. We need to be prepared for something like this. Your average money manager probably won't go over this with you because your investments will look terrible, and you'll start asking for guaranteed income, and they'll have to take a pay cut if you move your money. Now, look at the balance with the Atlas strategy here. Why is the overall asset balance higher than the rest of them? And if we really think about it, it's because we took $200,000 and completely protected it from market volatility. And we gave that money a very specific purpose, which was to allow this couple a higher upfront income from the pension and to protect the wife at the husband's passing by replacing any lost income from the pension. Now, let's just come down here and let's say that, the husband passes away at 83. If the income goal is still $70,000, the wife will have to start pulling more and more funds out of the portfolio to meet that income goal. But with the Atlas annuity strategy, when we turn the annuity on, it just barely misses the mark by about $300. So she'll have to pull $300 from somewhere. But here's the coolest thing about this particular product. It will continue to grow the income as the market performs. And again, this is based on a 3.5% growth rate, which I feel is very modest. But look over time as this thing continues to grow. The best part about this is the longer she lives, the better it works. Now, here's a key point. What if the husband doesn't pass away, but they just want the extra money for income? Can they both use it together? Absolutely, because this is set up as a joint income payout. So either one of them individually or as a couple can turn the income on and enjoy it for whatever they want. But let's just stick with the original scenario and say the husband passes away at 83 and the wife lives until age 100. Look at the overall difference in the remaining assets for the inheritance or long-term care emergencies or major purchases. It's literally over $300,000 difference. Over $300,000 difference using the exact same pension scenario, meaning the 50% survivorship. But in the blue column, we implemented the annuity. But what's even more stunning is the difference in income from the husband's passing, because this will automatically grow on its own as the market performs. Not only is the portfolio over $300,000 more, but she also had over $200,000 more in spendable income without adding or subtracting an additional penny from the plan. So you can see this is the power of these products when used correctly. And again, the husband doesn't have to pass away for this to work. They can both use it. But this is meant to be a specific strategy for higher pension payouts and replacement income. So I know this has been a lot of information in a short amount of time, so let's just do a quick recap. Okay, so we have a couple who is 65 and 63 years old. We took a lower survivorship from the pension to increase early income. We took $200,000 out of their portfolio and transferred it into an annuity that has an income rider but no fees attached to it. We used a below average return on the annuity and still had over $300,000 more with the Atlas annuity strategy. There was over $200,000 more spendable income by age 100 with no additional investment or withdrawals from the portfolio. And the reason that happened is when you take the pressure off of the portfolio in down markets and have the annuity in place, you're going to come out ahead every time. And to wrap this up, do you need $700,000 to make something like this work? Absolutely not. We only used $200,000 to put this plan together. But if you're watching this and you have a defined benefit pension, do you need an annuity? I don't know. I guess we need to find that out. And I'm happy to do that. I really am. That's why I'm here. But you just saw how powerful these can be. So really the best thing to do is just have a short phone conversation. And the best way to set that up is to head over to atlasannuity.com, and that will take you directly to my calendar on the website. Or you can feel free to reach out to me directly at 636-926-6500, and I'll put together a custom Atlas annuity strategy for you, just like the one you saw today. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I hope you found it helpful, and I want to wish you all the best in your educational journey to retirement.